All right, welcome to the night class. We are here today. I'm Coach Knight. We're going to be learning about the law of cosines. Let me get my screen straight here and get that out of the way. And we are ready. Okay, so your law of cosines. The law of cosines is something you use when you can't use the law of sines. Okay? So we talked about it yesterday. When can you use the law of sines? When you know what?
Three angles.
Not necessarily three angles.
One angle.
You know an angle and the opposite side from that angle. You can use the law of sines. Okay? So if I know angle A and I know little side A, then I can use the law of sines. Okay? If I know angle B and I know side B, then I can use law of sines. If I know angle C and side C, then I can use law of sines. Okay? If you don't know those, that's where the law of cosines comes in. Okay? You have to use it. It's not really anything as far as how it looks similar to the law of sines. These are the law of cosines. Now notice, there's three of them. There's really just one, okay? But the one has three different ways it could do it, okay? So notice, I don't recommend trying to memorize each one. Just memorize the pattern, okay? For example, what does this part look kind of like? The Pythagorean theorem. Now, it's not, because the a squared is out front, okay? So it's not the Pythagorean theorem, but that's something that you can take that you've already know. You can kind of take from your memory that's already in there, and you can apply it to this, okay? The other thing you need to remember, whatever side is in the front, the angle's in the back. Okay? So if A comes first, angle A comes last. If B comes first, angle B comes last. Okay? And so really you just got to remember this part in here. Okay? So it's the Pythagorean theorem minus 2 times whatever the two sides are in the middle. Okay? Cosine of whatever you're doing in the beginning. If A is in the beginning, you're going to do cosine of A. If B is at the beginning, you're going to do cosine of B. Okay? Now, believe it or not, the number one mistake people make when doing these is they fill everything out exactly the same except they put sine there. Okay? It's not the law of sines. Remember, it's the law of what? Cosine. So when you're doing law of cosines, make sure you put cosine. When you're doing law of sines, make sure you put sine. Okay? That's just people start going too fast and they just kind of forget about it. Okay? And they just put sine by mistake. So let's try one. There's going to be 2 different scenarios. Okay? We're still solving each triangle, and remember, all that means is we're finding everything that's missing, okay? So they will either give you all 3 sides, or they will give you 2 sides and an angle, okay? Like on number 6. So on number 5, you have options. You can find angle A, angle B, angle C first. It does not matter. But on number 6, you only have one option of what you can find first. What do y'all think that might be? C. Very good. If they give me angle C, I am forced to find side C first. Okay? I don't have any options. Okay? They're making me. All right? So let's do 5 first, because like I said, it's got options. I'm just going to find angle A first because I like going in order. All right? So if I'm finding angle A, what am I going to put first? 32, I'm just going to write it out. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. Okay? Again, I don't know it exactly like that. I just know the pattern. Okay? What is A? 32 squared equals B is 38 squared. C is 46 squared minus 2 times 38 times 46 cosine of A. Okay? What is 32 squared? 1024 equals. Here's the second mistake people make. They put this entire thing in their calculator. Okay? You cannot do that. All right? because this part right here has what with it? Cosine A. So they're not like terms, so you can't be adding them. You with me? Okay. So what you need to do is break this into parts. So you can do these together. Okay, so what's 38 squared plus 46 squared? 3,560. And then you can do negative 2 times 38 times 46. Negative 3,496 cosine of A. And I've had people do this, and still, when they get to this point, they'll still subtract them. Okay? You can't subtract them. Don't do it. All right? But I do want to get A by itself, so what can I do next? I can't divide yet. Subtract. What am I subtracting?
3560.
There you go. Subtract 3560 from both sides. I'll let y'all be putting that in your calculator and tell me what that equals while I'm writing the right side. So it's negative what? Negative 2,536. Everybody with me? Now what can I do? Divide. And I'm going to kind of do two steps in one here, so don't let me leave you. I have cosine A left, right? How do I get rid of cosine? Inverse. So I'm going to have A equals the inverse cosine of 2,536 divided by 3,496. I do what with the negatives? They cancel out. They're a negative over a negative is positive. Okay, so I don't even bother writing those in. All right, if you just got one, it's going to be negative. Okay, but since there's two, it cancels out. And that's what you put in your calculator. 43.5 degrees. I don't know if that's right. That's just what Alyssa said. You hit second cosine on your calculator. Let me look. I'm looking. I got 43.5 in the book. So if you're not getting 43.5, raise your hand and I'll come and run it. You didn't get what? How are you putting it in your? First off, hit your mode. Make sure your mode's in degrees first. Okay? Let me come and run it. You did 3946, 3496. Somebody else in First Flight did that exact same thing. They wrote the 4 and the 9 and they switched them.
Let Caden work the next one. He said he wanted 4.
Alright, so after all that, we're not done. We only found one angle, right? So we gotta get the other two. So rather than doing all that again with B and then doing all that again with C, I will allow you to now use the law of sines. Okay? I know we've talked about trying to not use stuff that you get in the rest of the problem, because if you miss that, you're going to miss the whole thing. Okay? But for just the sake of time, so these problems aren't take forever long, now that I have A, angle A, and I know side A, I can use the law of what now? Law of sines. Okay, so I'm going to. All right. Now, yesterday when we were doing law of sines, we always put it side over the sine of the angle. Okay, but for this problem, I'm looking for the angles, so I'm gonna reciprocal that. I'm gonna flip that. Okay, I'm gonna just find B next. So I'm gonna put the sine of B over B. Okay, what was B? 38. Equals the sine of A, which we just found to be 43.5 degrees, over little a, or side A. Because I want whatever variable I'm looking for to be in the numerator. It just makes life easier. Okay? Because now all I have to move is what? One thing. The 38. It's going to come there. Correct. Yep. If I'm looking for angle B, I want it on top. So remember, I can flip them as long as I flip everything. And that's what I've done. Okay? So, again, saving my hand a little writing here. How do I get rid of sine? Inverse sine. So I know from here, B will be the inverse sine of a bunch of stuff. Move your 38 over. Sine of 43.5 divided by 32. When you're putting it in your calculator, look at me so I can see the whites in your eyeballs. Your calculator will automatically open a parentheses after you put sine. Make sure you close it after you put the 0.5, okay? Otherwise, it's going to be taking the sine of 43.5 divided by 32, and you don't want the sine of that, okay? You just want the sine of 43.5. Then divide that by 32, okay? This you should get 54.8. And the book says that is correct. Second sine, 38. Sine of 43.5. Now, when you said sine of 43.5, it should have opened a parentheses to put the 43.5 in. Make sure you close it, then divide by 32, and hit enter.
Do I need to close the parentheses after 32?
You can. If you don't, it's not going to give you the right answer, but it's good practice to always, anytime you open a parentheses, technically you're supposed to close one, okay?
And are we just like rounding to it?
Now, we have angle A, angle B. The last angle's easy. We just say what? 180 minus those two, okay? So C is 180 minus 43.5 minus 54.8, the two angles we just found.
81.7.
81.7 degrees. Okay? You did law of sines again? That's okay if you did. But hopefully you got the same answer. All right?
That's a lot of work.
It is.
So if we get the first angle wrong, then we're goofed up.
Yes. Now, I will take that into consideration when I'm grading your test. Just like, you know, some of you didn't, you were doing everything right on the last test, but you simplified your radical wrong. Well, I'm not going to count the whole thing off because I'm testing you on whether you know the trig. The simplifying the radical part is not knowing the trig, okay? So same thing here. If you miss this one, but you plug it, that's why showing your work is so important. If you show your work and your work's right, you're just using the wrong number, well, you know how to do it. You just goofed over here on the very first thing. So I'm not going to count. I will count off a little bit, but I'm not going to count off the whole thing, okay? All right? Yes. Because this one has sine of B. So originally I had sine of B over here on the left. So to get rid of that, I have to do the inverse sine so they cancel. I just didn't write that part down. I have sine of B right here. To get rid of sine, you have to do inverse sine. So I did the inverse sine on the left, which means I have to do the inverse sine on the right. Because whatever you do on one side, you got to do on the other. You with me? Okay. All right. I'm going to start at the top and start erasing. I'm going to erase how I wrote it up here. It takes me a little while because my computer kind of lags. So and we're back. All right. Got my erasing done. Here we go. Had a little fun. You know, life's fun. In the great words of Joe Dirt, life's a garden. Dig it. All right. Number 6. Why is it? Oh, because I'm on white. All right. Number 6, we talked about earlier. We have no choice. What do we have to find first? Little c, side c. So, again, I'm going to write it down just so you can see it. That is what we're plugging it into. We plug in the numbers. C squared equals A squared. A is 25. squared plus 30 squared is b minus 2 times 25 times 30 times the cosine of 160 degrees. And the great thing about this is the calculator does everything, basically. We just have to plug it in. How do I get rid of a square?
Square root.
I take the square root, and yes, you're going to put the square root of all of that in your calculator, and it's nice and quick and easy. Okay, I won't say easy. It's a lot of buttons to push, but if you put it in exactly like I have it written up here, you will get it right, okay?
I got 54.2.
54.2 is correct.
Do you have to put the degree sign?
You do not have to put the degree sign as long as your mode is in degree. Okay?
I look this way a lot better than the other ones.
Now we got little c and we got big C, so we can use what? Law of Sines. So again, I'm going to just go in alphabetical order. I'll find A first. So sine of A, again, I'm putting that on top because I want whatever I'm looking for in the numerator. Okay? So sine of A over 25 equals the sine of C, which is 160, over 54.2.
Can you just like freeze for like 2 seconds?
Freeze! Yes.
So why did you?
Why did I put A on top? Okay. You good? All right. I'm going to move the 25 over here. And then how do I get rid of sine? Inverse sine. So A will be the inverse sine of 25 sine of 160 divided by 54.2. That should give you 9.1 degrees. And then to get angle B, now that I have angle A and angle C, I can just subtract. So B is 180 minus 160 minus A was 9.1. God bless you. Should get 10.9.
I like it a lot better whenever they give us two
Yeah, it's-
sides of the angle. It's a lot
When
easier.
options, when you have options, you have a lot of work. When they don't give you any options, that's not much work, really, compared to other things we've done. Okay. Number 6 was not so much easier; it's just quicker.
Yeah, that was much work.
Quicker is easier.
Quicker is easier. It's true.
Whenever you have a lot more work, it's easier to
Mess up,
I
right?
get so confused.
The longer the problem, the more things you have to write down, the more chances you have to screw up.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
you have to go back and try to find
Right.
what you screw up.
Everybody good on 6?
You have to rewrite
All right.
it 5 times.
7. 7, we're doing the same thing, but we're not solving the triangle. So we're not finding everything.
We're just finding
We're just finding what they asked for. Okay? Now, if you notice, they don't even say A, B, C, X, Y, Z. They don't even give us variables on this. They just say find the angle with the greatest what? Measure. So, back to geometry class. The angle with the greatest measure will be opposite which side? The longest side. So some of you said the hypotenuse. Remember, this isn't a right triangle, okay? So, but the hypotenuse is the longest side, okay? So, what's going to come first? 21. 21 would come first. So, 21 squared equals 18 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 18 times 14 cosine of, you can label the variable anything you want to. I'm going to put B for biggest. You can put G for Graves or T for Tilly or whatever you want to put, okay? And then we simplify. So that's 441 equals 8 squared or 18 squared plus 14 squared is 520. Awesome. Minus, what's 2 times 18 times 14? 5 what? 504. cosine of B. I subtract 520.
Negative 79.
Negative 79, thank you, equals negative 504. Cosine of B. 2 more steps. Divide by negative 504. And take the what? Inverse cosine. So, B is equal to the inverse cosine of 79 divided by 504. Again, I dropped the negatives because they both have a negative, so that makes positive. And you should get 81 degrees. That is rounded. I think it's like 81.02. 80.9? Okay. 80.99, I think, actually. 98. Okay. So 81 degrees. Everybody good?
That's it.
That's it. We don't have to solve it. We're just finding one side there, the greatest. Okay?
Okay, what's this?
Or the greatest angle, I should say. Ma'am?
What's this? Did you ever have video?
I did. All right. So, our final problems of the day, we are finding the area again. So, yesterday, we had 2 area problems. We had one that had side angle and the side, right? The angle had to come in between the 2 sides. We had one that we had one side and all 3 angles. And today's, we have all 3 sides. Okay? So, it doesn't have to be the base or the height. It can be all the 3 sides of your triangle. You can find the area of it. Okay? This is called Hero's formula. I don't know why it's called Hero's formula. I should. I'll have to research that. But to do Hero's formula, you have this new, obviously, or hopefully you know what A, B, and C are. They're the sides of your what? Of your triangle. But S, you need to know S. S is half of the perimeter.
So you add up all the sides.
Okay?
Divide by 2.
You add up all the sides and take half of it. Okay? That's S. And then you plug it in. Okay?
That's not bad.
It's not hard at all. It's really not. And so always when you're doing these problems, you're going to have to find S first. So 1/2 of 2 plus 7 plus 8, I believe is 8.5. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So to get the, I can. To get the area, I'm just going to plug in. I'm just writing the formula. Okay? S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C.
We need to learn this formula.
And so, yes,
We need to memorize it.
yes, yes.
No, that's a lot of stuff.
You can do it. I have confidence.
Yeah, it's not hard when I actually know it.
And again, it's just a pattern. Okay? So, you should be able to. All right? What is S? So 8.5 minus 8.5 minus 2. Or excuse me, I said minus 8. It's times 8.5 minus 2. Times 8.5 minus 7. Times 8.5 minus 8. And you put all that in your calculator.
6.4.
And it is square units because you are talking about area. Okay? Try number 9 when you get
Okay, I know
done.
you said it's wrong to say it like this, the unit square, but how do you say it?
Square units.
Square units.
Yes.
What if you
If you're working this at home, number 9, your answer should equal 102.3 square units. Hope you get it right. We'll see you next time, and as always, stay above that line.